Değerli konuklar, şimdi konuşmalarını yapmak üzere Avrupa Komisyonu İç Denetim Genel Müdürü Sayın Manfred KRAFF'ı davet ediyor.
Merhaba, esteemed Minister, esteemed members of the Turkish Court of Accounts, dear colleagues. It is really a pleasure and a privilege for me to be here, and I can tell you I'm very much impressed already now about this conference, and I'm happy also to be at the source of a tradition which you will implement. Before I come to the conference, to the topic of the conference, let me please introduce my own institution, the Internal Audit Service of the European Commission, to you. We were established in 2001 following a major political crisis in the European Commission. We report to the first Vice President, Frans Timmermans, and we are supervised by an Audit Progress Committee. We have 160 auditors, and we audit the European Commission, so all the Directorates General and services, but also the European External Action Service, plus about 50 agencies and joint undertakings. We issue roughly 150 reports. We provide limited conclusions on the internal control system in the different DGs and services. And very important, we provide an overall opinion on the systems of the European Commission. The external quality assessment gave us a very positive result. Also the stakeholder review, which we carry out on an annual basis. And the positive result is also reflected in the acceptance rate which we have. 100% of our recommendations are accepted, and they are also implemented, very often nearly 99% in time. So we did not achieve this in 1 year. I told you we needed roughly 20 years to be where we are, but we have to continue to build trust in our organization. And there, I think, one can also learn from the conference today, because the topic is transformation of audit perception in a changing world. And this can, of course, be analyzed, regarded from very different angles. I have chosen 4 in order to provide some background information. First of all, one can have a discussion on the question traditional financial compliance audit versus performance audits. The second question one could ask is use of well-known audit techniques of the past, like we all remember checklists, Excel sheets, but we also heard already in the beginning in the video about artificial intelligence and data mining. Then a third topic that could be discussed is hindsight should be replaced or should be completed by insight, and probably also foresight. I think a lot of very interesting discussions can take place concerning this issue. And then, last but not least, we have the eternal question, the old auditor role being close to what a policeman does, as opposed to the trusted advisor role. Let me start by answering these 4 questions by saying, and we heard this already, providing assurance to the board, to the management, is, of course, the overall objective of all internal auditors. But we should not forget there are also the external auditors that provide assurance to Parliament. And in cooperation of both types of audits, I think we will achieve what was already mentioned earlier, the fact that public entities, but also companies, work to the best of all the citizens. Of course, the prime instrument, the most important instrument, is audit, but we also heard that consulting engagements are extremely useful. And we had a discussion in the last conference of IIA Global in Dubai, where the question was asked in a little bit a provocative term, should the name internal auditors changed to internal consultants? We had very interesting discussion, and the clear answer was no. Why was the clear answer no? Because we all agreed in this discussion that the accounts must be reliable, they must provide a true and fair view, and you must comply with the rules. Otherwise, if you do not do this, then private companies would be very quickly out of the market. Nobody would trust them anymore. I come from a country where we have the Dieselgate. I think you all know what this means in financial terms for the companies involved. And also in public organizations, if accounts are not reliable or if there are problems as regards the legal requirement, this will lead to enormous political problems. So the audit perspective has always to take place. But also the new element of performance has to be taken into consideration. Politicians and managers must be accountable for the results achieved. So we must have smart objectives and racer indicators. In other words, the performance management system must be able to provide reliable data which allows to assess whether we deliver. Now let me come to hindsight. Again, the audit, we heard this already, started with the audit of historic financial statements and auditing the compliance with the legal framework. This is hindsight. You come after the event and you tell management whether things work. But very soon, management wanted to get insight. They wanted to know what are the sources of misstatements or what are the sources of errors. So auditors started to provide recommendations how to improve, how to strengthen systems, and this of course includes a certain level of insight, but auditors should never replace managers or politicians by taking decisions on the future. This is clearly their role. We have to provide assurance. And I want to underline that performance is key in the future in this context. For example, if a political decision has to be taken to reduce unemployment by X% via either professional training or investing in companies, then this is not the role of the auditor to take this decision. This is clearly the role of the politician. In this context, one can say insight is provided when auditors have a look whether this political decision was based on sound evidence provided by the administration. You also provide an element of insight when you say, was the objective achieved? Or what were the problems that were encountered? And foresight, of course, you have when you provide information, when you provide recommendations, how systems can be improved as regards objectives or indicators, milestones, which allow to measure progress. Now, we also heard that it is very important for auditors to remain relevant. We have to deliver services which are important for management. Otherwise, they will no longer listen to us. And a lot of the colleagues that already spoke here said coping with IT challenges is key. Data mining and artificial intelligence were mentioned. So we must be able, as auditors, first of all, to use algorithms, but we must also be able to audit them. And this is, of course, a challenge. And Topal was at our conference embracing the challenges of the future, where a futurist asked a very interesting question, and I want to ask this question also to you. He asked, are you a white bear or a brown bear? The white bear is a bear that is open to change. The brown bear is change resistant. I asked myself, what am I? And I said to myself, maybe I'm a white bear with brown stripes. But he also gave an answer how we can cope with the future. And this futurist, he said, probably we should introduce at the level of management, at the level of principal auditors, at the level of audit, reverse mentoring. We should recruit young, bright people, not older than 25. I know what I say because I'm much older than 25. And these should explain the opportunities and the challenges of the IT world in the different professions. Of course, there we are in the area of the war for talents. It's not enough to pay good salaries, but we have also to provide evidence that we are very professional and that we really, really bring added value to management. Then we will also be able to attract young, bright people that help us to work on the future. Now let me come to a topic which for my boss, for First Vice President Franz Timmermans, is very important. It was also mentioned in the video. It's the fourth industrial revolution. We all know that the ownership of data is not only at the source of success in the economic field, in a lot of other areas, data is really key for the future. So, in my opinion, auditors have also to be very attentive as regards data protection. First of all, it should be a subject matter of our audits in order to provide assurance to management that data protection principles are respected. But we ourselves also have to respect the principles of data protection, because otherwise we would be in trouble. I'm pretty sure if we follow the principles which I have explained now and which colleagues have explained earlier in the conference, we can have a seat at the top table. Then management will listen to us, will follow our recommendation, will even ask for our advice. And this is, we heard it already several times, very important for our profession. Then we can add value to our organizations, and then also the public administration can provide the services that the citizens expect from us. Thank you very much for your attention, and I'm looking forward to the discussion in the podium.
Thank you very much, Mr. KRAFF. Sayın Gider Başkanımızı davet edeyim, Mr. KRAFF'a plaketini takdim etmesi için alalım.